let's make sure you've got this with you. Yours should look like this, right? Everybody got that all labeled and everything? Okay. The first thing that we are going to do, take them out of your packet, and I'm going to show you, we're going to identify whether or not we have a male or a female. Okay, so that's our first job. So let me show you, I'll stop sharing my screen for a second so that you can see my crayfish larger. Everybody see this all right? Okay, so I have two crayfish to compare for you. This one, if you notice, has two different kinds of swimmerets. Under the abdomen on the ventral side, there are some small swimmerets, but then the most anterior set of swimmerets is significantly larger. It looks almost like a little bit of a straw-like material, stiff, very much larger, and then three pairs that are kind of tiny. That's a male, okay? The most anterior set of swimmerets are larger on a male, so that they use that to deposit sperm onto or into the female, all right, to fertilize the eggs. So that is what a male would look like. If you have if you're not sure, if you have a female, all the swimmerets are going to be a little bit longer probably than those three small ones on the male, but there's no large set at the most anterior portion. They're very uniform in size, a little bit maybe even kind of fuzzy a little bit. And the female has, hang on. The female has swimmerets like that because, here, I'll show you a picture really up close of a female. A female has swimmerets that are a little bit longer and have sort of a little bit of a, brush-like look, because she actually closes over those swimmerets to protect and hold and carry her eggs. Look at this picture, a entire set of eggs that she has, and the person who is holding this has removed the swimmerets, okay? But normally the swimmerets right here would be kind of protecting and surrounding, covering up those eggs, okay? All right, so everybody type in the chat box, male or female? What do you guys have? Female, 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 male. Alethea?
So the larger one is nearer to the posterior or anterior one?
No,
Sorry.
the anterior, the most anterior portion of the tail. They're almost stiff like little straws.
Because
Why don't you,
I'm gonna
pin you, why don't you show me yours? Okay, that's a female. Okay, there is not any one larger one at the most anterior, right? They're all just kind of long and wispy and not really significantly different one at the most anterior. Next up, I want you to gently fan out your tail. And you'll notice if you fan out the tail, remember we talked about there's a middle fin that is called the telson. And then there are 4 fins on the side that are uropods. All right, everybody see that? Fanning out the tail. And you can see how flexible this tail is, that this is how they move backwards really fast. All their muscles, almost all their muscles, are right here in their tail, which interestingly is what people eat, right? You know that, right? They eat sort of the muscles that's in the abdomen of this, but this is how they move backwards when they've got to get away from something fast, they use the telson and the uropods and that strong tail to go backwards. Everybody good? Okay, now we're going to kind of head down. Let me actually share my phone camera. All right, so this is the abdomen. There you see are some male swimmerettes. These other ones are so little. This is also a male, a different one. Okay, that is, whoa, interesting. It's got like an extra set. I don't know. Maybe it regenerated those. I don't know. And then we've got walking legs here, right? Here's some walking legs, which we're going to look at in a minute. There should be 8, but he's missing one. So maybe that's why that's there, regenerating. Interesting. Okay. I got a little bit of a mutant. These are those kilopeds. You can see this rostrum right here. There are 2 eyes. You can see how that rostrum is kind of providing some armor that would be stiffer around the eye. You can see that their head and their thorax is attached right here. So this is a cephalothorax, right? Okay. And then this is very much open. So right here is where we're going to put our scissors in a minute. Okay. If you look over, flip it over on its ventral side. So you're looking, I want you to notice that just anterior of the kilopeds, all right, you're going to see some large arm-like, hand-like appendages. These are those maxillipeds, okay? So those are the first maxillipeds. I've got some antennae that are kind of getting in the way. First maxillipeds, and then if I keep opening up, you'll see that there's actually some more little maxillipeds in here. And eventually I can peel away these little feathery appendages and get to the mandible. And then it's going to feel like a hard tooth or 2 teeth. And you can literally put your probe in the mouth. Okay? Pry that open and you can see how it might be really locked shut like mine is right here. But you might be able to get your probe in there and kind of see those mandibular jaws. Everybody see that? There we go. I just pried mine open. All right. So there's the mouth. And there's those jaws that are called mandibles. Everybody got that? Anybody need help finding that? Okay. All right. Now, I want you to notice up on, again, the head region. This is kind of a funny thing. You're going to hear this. There's the eyes, right? And I want you to look that just posterior of the eyes on the ventral side, you should see 1, 2 little white bumps. 1, 2. You see that? 1, 2. 2 little white bumps. They're not super clear, but 2 little white bumps. Those, believe it or not, are where the crayfish pees. Can you imagine? Between your eyes and your mouth? That's where you, yeah, that's where their equivalent of the nephridia, okay? I'm going to show you a slide here. There is an amazing feature of the crayfish, okay? Look at this, guys, because we're going to see it when we go into our crayfish as well. Let me show you this on the slide really fast. Okay. You see that right there? What you just saw is the opening to what we call the green gland. And the green gland is like an excretory organ that gets rid of a compound that would be sort of like the urine that your body makes. Okay, not exactly, but it is getting rid of some liquid sort of metabolic waste. Oops, sorry. Okay, and you can see that it has a dual purpose. What do I mean by that? Well, besides yeah, no kidding, Tegan. Besides getting rid of waste, which is an important function to maintain homeostasis, to make sure that you don't accumulate things like ammonia and whatnot, this also has a dual role in that when they're fighting with another crayfish, they expel the contents of their green glands as though they're trying to, like, repel their enemy. Okay, so it's sort of like I'm going to spray this disgusting compound at you in hopes that it deters you. But the other one is doing the same thing, right? You see this in the picture? It's called the green gland because whatever comes out of it is green, but not the color of the gland. We'll see the glands when we open up our crayfish. Okay, everybody good with this? So externally, you found the opening of the green gland right here. 1, 2. Okay, and then there's the mandible. These are the first, or that's the third maxilliped, first maxilliped, second maxilliped. There's 3 sets of little fingery like appendages that help to manipulate and handle food for the crayfish as it's bringing it to its mouth. All right, everybody good with that? So we've seen the anus, the mouth, the green gland. We've determined whether or not it's a male or a female, and now we're going to start cutting. But I also, I want you to pay really close attention to how I'm going to use my scissors. All right. What I want you to notice is when I cut, normally you cut, that. I want you to make sure that when you look at the angle of your blade of your scissors, once you get underneath that joint between the cephalothorax and the abdomen, I want you to immediately turn your scissors upward. So the blades are pointing up to help prevent you cutting any organs. All right. We only want to cut this carapace. Watch how I'm going to do this. It should feel like cutting, just really like almost cutting fingernails. All right. So watch what I'm doing here. I'm cutting, trying to be really careful to make small little snips, hoping not to really injure or destroy, oops, like that. That's what you don't want to do. And you're going to cut all the way up till you get right close to behind the eyes. Remember that is the rostrum. So right about at the base of the rostrum, you're going to make a T cut, the top of a T. Then I'm going to go the other direction. Okay, so now I made a T. All right. And I'm going to try to very carefully, using my fingers, I'm going to try and peel away the carapace, hopefully not taking any organs with me. Now there's a little muscle tissue that went, that's fine. All right, and now it's still attached down there near the head, so I'm going to snip that off. And I've just removed a side of the carapace, exposing one side of its body. Okay, now I'm going to do that again on the other side. And you got to kind of try and gently pull, but you do need to pull. And it's going to feel like, wait, am I going to destroy something? But probably not. Look at that. There might just be a little bit of muscle there again that stays attached. And then I'm going to make another snip down here to get it all the way off. Trying to just cut the carapace. Okay. Now I've exposed everything I want to expose here. All right.